Longest-serving judge president of the Pretoria High Court. Justice Ngoepe has contributed to drafting the Constitution, served on the Truth Commission's Amnesty Committee, and had a short stint as acting judge of the Supreme Court of Appeal. He joins us now from our studios in Pretoria to talk to us. Justice Ngoepe, good morning to you. Welcome to Morning Live on SABC2.
Good morning to you and to your listeners.
Well, thank you very much for joining us this morning. So, after 14 years as judge president in the Pretoria High Court, was it a bit sad for you to bow out, as it were, to finally say, I'm now leaving, I'm now retiring?
Yes, indeed. You get mixed feelings about it. You would have been with colleagues for so many years, worked together with them, and been part of an institution which is important in the country, and then you reach a point where you've got to go. But there will always be a time when somebody has to go and make way for others.
Now, in leaving, was this because of perhaps the time for retirement, or did you feel like you had just had enough?
I can't say I had had enough, but I just felt that I have, to a certain extent, achieved some of my fundamental objectives which drove me to accept nomination to come and serve as judge president, and take into account also the length of period that I have served. I just felt that somebody else must come with fresh ideas to continue with the little that I thought I had achieved.
Are you now completely lost to the practice of law, or will you continue practicing law but in another way?
I will continue practicing law in another way. Firstly, I think I'll continue to be a student of law, to read and possibly write on and about the law. But very importantly, you may recall that I am one of the 11 judges of the African Union's African Court on Human and People's Rights. My term there continues for the next few years, and I will continue to serve in that court as a judge of that court, albeit on a part-time basis, which suits me very well. It's compatible with my plans to reduce activity.
Yeah, just looking at the bench in South Africa right now, as you leave the bench and the judiciary, how would you characterize it? Is it in a stronger place? Does it face a lot of challenges? What are your thoughts as you leave now?
I believe that the bench is very strong indeed. For a start, I think it is more representative than it was when I joined in. And like I said previously, when I was appointed a judge in Pretoria, I was the only black judge. And indeed, as and when I became the judge president, I was the only black judge. And there was only one black judge in Johannesburg. But now, as I'm leaving, more than 50% of the judges are of color. And there has been a steady increase of women, not as much as we'd have liked to, but there has been that kind of increase. So as far as representativity, the bench is strong, and I think also the judiciary has acquitted itself very well when it comes to judicial pronouncements. And, well, there are challenges, there will always be challenges, but nothing will be beyond the capacity of the present judiciary to deal with.
Judicial independence, as things stand, sometimes there's talk in the public domain that it's under threat. Is that a feeling that you have as well?
I don't, and I doubt, at least for now, if I ever will have that, because I believe that it is the judges themselves who should guard their own independence. I don't think there's a serious threat or any threat at all to the independence of judges. People may say this and that, but at the end of the day, I don't think that will affect the independence of judges. Of the judiciary. I think the JSC does it best to appoint people with respectable intellectual capacity to think for themselves, to do what they believe is right without being influenced by anybody else from outside.
Just referring to the matter that you addressed moments ago, just about representativity, do you feel that transformation is moving rapidly, or it's a bit slow for your liking in the judiciary, in the bench in particular?
Well, people have different views, but for my part, I think it is neither moving too rapidly nor too slow. Perhaps as far as gender is concerned, it may be too slow, but there are good reasons for that. They are historical. Women came late into the law, and women were in the past not allowed to practice law. They're not welcome. But progress is being made. I don't think we are either too fast or too slow, subject to what I've just said.
Are there highlights to your time as Judge President in the Pretoria High Court, in the High Court in the Northern Region? Are there highlights, moments that you remember, and are there lowlights as well? Perhaps court cases that have come before you where you felt perhaps an extraordinary sense of disappointment?
Well, there have been some highlights in the sense that I believe that pronouncements have been made to develop our constitutional jurisprudence, and as you know, we're just beginning to do that. So there have been some important pronouncements in that regard. There may well have been some low moments when you deal with certain cases, you depress you, and when you see people not being able to afford the kind of legal services that they should be getting because they're poor, and so on and so forth. So you do come across such instances. But by and large, I think it has been a good journey.
Yeah. Thank you very much for joining us this morning, Justice Bernard Ngoepe, retiring Judge President of the High Court of the Northern Region, joining us from our studios in Pretoria.